Hi, I'm Kate, the Clinical Director at Keeping Pace Learning Center. Thank you for joining our online parent event. Typically, we would have everyone come meet us at our office and tell us about their child and the struggles they're seeing, and we would go over what we can do to help. Today, we'll try to do all that from a distance. We'll go over some difficulties your child may be experiencing and talk about what steps you can take to get help. All right, thank you for joining. So, Keeping Pace Learning Center has been serving the Elk Grove area for about 20 years now, and we are dedicated to helping smart kids who struggle. We have helped so many children become confident and independent learners, and we look forward to working with you and your child as well. So, if you're watching this video, you've probably noticed your child is struggling compared to his or her peers. At first, you may have thought, gosh, is my kid lazy? Are they even trying? And at this point, you may have seen them try without having the results you would expect considering their effort. So also, you might have a kid who they've been trying the whole time. You've seen them spend hours and hours on a project or homework that really shouldn't have taken that long. And all that effort maybe didn't get them the grade that you even would have expected for how hard they tried. And sometimes we have kids who maybe they even ace a quiz, but they spent all their free time studying and studying and studying while other kids were able to study for 10 minutes, go play, and then take the quiz and do just fine. So all these are kind of signs that something else is going on under the surface. So sometimes kids are really intelligent, so they can hide the fact that they're really having a hard time. So let's talk about what some of the issues are that can cause otherwise really smart kids to struggle with academics or even sports, and making friends can be impacted by this. And as we go over all these things, I really want you to keep in mind that these issues are nobody's fault. It's not something that you did or didn't do. It's not, oh, my child can't read at grade level. Maybe I should have read to them more when they were a baby. It's not that. And it's not something that your kid did or didn't do. This isn't your child's fault that they're struggling. And on top of that, it's not the school's fault either. Schools come with a certain curriculum, certain skills. They're great at teaching the average child, but sometimes when kids have other issues going on beneath the surface, schools aren't really equipped to help them. So that's where we come in. So just keep in mind that it's not your fault. And the other thing I want you to keep in mind is that this isn't permanent. Learning difficulties are not permanent. Your kid does not have to struggle for the rest of their life. So I'm going to put up an image of a ladder so that you can see it. And at the bottom of the ladder, you're going to see it's talking about core learning skills. So these are skills and even reflexes that people are either born with or develop very early on. And reflexes especially that babies have should be integrated or go away after 12 months. So some people, it doesn't go away, and they're hanging on to these reflexes that are causing their life to be kind of difficult and confusing, and they might be overreacting to things. And schools are kind of assuming that those skills that you see there are all in place. So this can interfere with attention, it can cause anxiety, it can make it hard for kids to start and finish work, and it can even cause kids to be kind of clumsy. So if your child is older, it might even show up looking like your kid is having an attitude. And then if you look up to the next level, it talks about processing skills. So this is so important, and a lot of kids do have issues in this area. So this includes auditory processing, and that is different from hearing. Your child may score perfect on a hearing test, but still have weak auditory processing. It's a brain skill. It's the ability of your brain to make sense of what you're hearing. So it's kind of the translation of the sounds into something meaningful. And if your child is weak in that area, you might know they have perfect hearing, but you interact with them and they say, huh, what? Over and over. Or maybe it looks like they're not following your directions, but they never got your directions in the first place because they couldn't understand. It sounded like the teacher on Charlie Brown. So if it seems like your kid's not listening, or if it seems like they have poor memory, it really could be that they're just not understanding what you're saying in the first place. And that makes school really hard. Imagine not being able to understand a good chunk of what your teacher or even classmates are saying to you. And it might even make you look kind of silly in front of your peers if you give a wrong answer because you didn't hear the question. So it can even make having friends a little tricky. Or if you're in a crowded lunchroom and your classmates are talking to you, but you're just hearing all this background noise and you can't make sense of what they're saying, you might end up, looking a little bit shy because you don't want to respond and say the wrong thing or say something that doesn't make sense. Similar to that, we have visual processing. And that is not the same thing as sight or vision. So your child may have good eyesight, but not be able to understand what they're looking at. So if you were to go to the grocery store and ask your kid, hey, can you please pick out a can of green beans for dinner? They might spend way too long trying to figure out which one is the green beans because all the cans kind of look the same to them and they're very confused. This definitely affects learning because imagine trying to read if all your letters look the same or look kind of scrambled or you can't tell the difference between one letter versus another. That's going to be so challenging. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So that kind of plays into kids with dyslexia as well. Dyslexia is a permanent brain disorder, but there's so much that we can do to retrain the way the brain is seeing those letters and interpreting them. So don't be discouraged. I know that some of these things sound a little bit scary, but at Keeping Pace, we can definitely do things to fix it. All right, so at the top of the ladder, you're seeing kind of more basic academic skills. So this is what schools are focusing on. They're assuming that everything at the bottom of the ladder is already in place when your child comes to school for the first time, and then they're working at that academic level. We care about the academic level too, but we understand that without those underlying skills in place, the academics are going to be really tough. So imagine you see that ladder. Picture that you're standing on top of the ladder and the lower rungs, maybe some are missing, some are broken or wobbly, and you're trying to do a job up at the top of the ladder. You're going to have to focus so much harder than everyone else who has, maybe all the steps are in place. So our goal is to fix those underlying skills. It's a little bit like two kids or even adults get the same assignment and they're told to maybe write an essay. And one is given a brand new computer and one is given a typewriter. They might be able to even come up with equally good essays, equally neat. They look the same when you look at the paper. But of course, the person with the typewriter had to put in so much more effort and attention to get there. So that's why it's important to have those underlying skills in place so that it's not as draining to get those results. So to help kids fix a learning difficulty, we need to identify what underlying skills are not in place to support the learner and develop those skills through intense and targeted brain training. So this is probably not going to happen at school. As a former teacher myself, I know that schools are not equipped to correct weak underlying skills. It's just not the role that they play. So teachers have curriculum that they're going through, and it assumes that those underlying skills are there. Teachers are not really trained or equipped to work intensely one-on-one on these underlying skills with kids. And it's not their fault. It's not because they don't care. It's just that's not what school is. So our goal here is that we can help kids one-on-one intensely correct these issues so that when they do go to school, it's going to be a smoother ride for them. One thing schools can do is offer accommodations and modifications. And we, of course, encourage you to take those if they're being offered to you. But they're not a permanent fix. They are not going to permanently close that gap that your kid has. And the concern would be that what happens when your kid is getting a job or is even going to college, or even as they progress through grade school, they might have those supports taken away bit by bit, and eventually they're not going to have them. So our hope would be, let's get those skills in place and fixed so that they don't need the supports anymore. So if they're offered to you, take them. They might get your kid through a difficult class. They might get your kid through a, subject that they're really struggling with. So do it, but just know it's not going to actually address the issue. It's just a temporary support. So over the past 30 years, brain plasticity research has demonstrated the brain's ability to be changed and rewired with intense and targeted training. It takes work, but you can change the brain. So we believe that kids have the ability to permanently overcome their learning challenges. And we want to teach kids to be comfortable, confident, and independent learners so that they can grow up to be successful adults. After working with so many students, we know that these challenges can be dramatically improved or permanently corrected. That means your child can do homework on their own independently. All the effort that they're putting in is going to show in their work. And more than that, the tension, frustration, the helplessness that you're seeing them experience will go away. I want to share a student story with you. This is Selena, a former Keeping Pace client who is actually interning with us this summer. She has an amazing story of huge progress. Here she is.
Hi, my name's Selena, and I attended Keeping Pace when I was about 7 years old. And when I went there, I had a major struggle with my vestibular system. It was very hard for me to maintain my balance. I couldn't even do simple tasks like other children, like ride a bike. When I was told to pedal forward, I would always pedal backwards. And it was very hard for me to overcome this struggle because I just wanted to be like all my friends and do all those other activities. So thank gosh for Keeping Pace. I went there for a while and they helped me overcome my struggles. The trainers at Keeping Pace were so nice and so sweet and always there for me. I felt so comfortable with them and I could tell them anything and they would help me with any issues I had. They always were so supportive and wanted to be there for me and asked what else they could do to help me. And I looked at them as role models and I wanted to be like them when I was older. Keeping Pace majorly helped me because I not only overcame this major issue that I had when I was younger, but I also became so much more confident in myself. And after overcoming and being helped overcoming these issues, I was able to overcome many other things. And I also was even able to participate in sports and ride a bike. And I became a cheerleader for 10 years and I did all kinds of competitive cheerleading. And now I'm a college student at the University of Arizona. I am going to be a junior this upcoming fall. And I am a double major. I am studying psychology and law. And I now have an internship with Keeping Pace. And I'm so excited to help young children and everyone of all ages overcome their struggles just like I did. Thank you.
Well, awesome. What a great story. We're so thrilled with Selena's improvements, and we want that same success for your child. If all this is hitting home for you and you're ready to take the next step, here it is. I'll put our contact information up, and what you need to do now is give us a call and tell us about your child and the struggles that you're seeing him or her go through. we'll have some additional questions for you so that we can see what's going on. Then you will sign up for a screening or assessment. This will help us know exactly what skills your child is missing and needs to work on. We don't want to put your kid through a one-size-fits-all program. We want to figure out what skills your child is missing and focus on those. So once we've done that screening, we'll be able to sit down virtually with you and discuss what we saw. We'll be able to say what maybe needs improvement. We'll also be able to say what your kid is good at. And then with that in mind, we'll be able to present to you what we think it'll take to correct these issues. So it will be a commitment. It'll be some work. But your child will feel confident, independent, and capable. And you will gain support for you and your family during this process. So you probably know by now, most learning and attention issues won't just go away or get better over time. Real changes can happen for you, though, if you address the underlying issues. We have seen so many kids turn their academic and social lives around, and we want to offer that same hope to you. We want to support kids when schools can't. And we have helped so many people permanently change their learning and attention skills, and we want to do that for your kid. So again, your next step is to talk to us about your child. Schedule a free consultation today by calling us at 916-686-1619, or you can email us at info@keepingpacelearningcenter.com. If you still have some questions and want more information before you call, you can check out our website at www.keepingpacelearningcenter.com. Thanks for your time, and we'll hear from you soon.